Today we're going to talk about what is metering and how to use it. For most people, you have seen these three kinds of metering on the screen of your camera. So from the left to the right, it's matrix metering, center weight metering, and spot metering. Let's start with the matrix metering. Most people use the matrix metering to take landscape because when you take landscape, you want your camera to fully measure the whole area of the frame you're going to shoot. And your camera is going to calculate the amount of exposure by make a compromise between the light area and the dark area in your frame, and came up with the amount of exposure it needs to make both ends happy. So that's what the matrix metering is. Now let's move to the center weight metering. Most people use center weight metering to take portraits, because for portraits, your subject will be most of the time in the middle of the frame. Thus, the camera only takes the middle of the frame into consideration, measuring the light of the middle part and calculate how much exposure it needs to get the middle part of the frame correctly exposed. So that's what the center weight metering is. Now let's talk about spot metering. For most of the time, people use spot metering to highlight the parts in their photos. For example, in the portrait by Don English, which was shot in the 1930s, we can see that there is a huge contrast in this portrait. The only bright part in this portrait happens to be the face of the actress, while the other part is pretty much dark. And in order for the camera to calculate the correct amount of exposure to make the face correctly exposed, so your camera can only measures the light from the face part. So that's what spot metering is. You ask your camera to measure a certain part on the frame and calculate the amount of exposure it needed to get this point area correctly exposed. So that's spot metering. In order to show you the differences among the three metering modes, I've taken three pictures using the three different metering modes. So from the left to the right, it's matrix metering, center weight metering, and spot metering. So starting from the spot metering, you can see that except for the black camera, the other part of the frame is, the other part of the photo is pretty much overexposed, because the focal point is said to be on the black camera itself. So my camera only takes consideration the black camera while totally neglecting the other parts. And in the middle, you can see that's the center weight metering. That's when the camera only takes the centerpiece of this frame into consideration, while causing the other part somehow to get underexposed. And for the picture on the left, that's the matrix metering. And in matrix metering, your camera somehow measures the whole frame and make compromises between the light part of the frame and dark part of the frame, and try to calculate the amount of exposure it needs to satisfy both ends. So personally, I would suggest you guys to use the matrix metering because it can make both light part and dark part pretty much well represented in your picture. So that's my personal suggestion. And that's all for today on our talk on different metering modes. If you still have any other questions or comments, leave them in the comment area below, and feel free to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.